Greetings, Possums. Coming to you, we are Offensive Points, and we are brought to you by Offensive Points. That is right. We are completely independent. And welcome to the show. For those of you who are new listeners of Offensive Points, we've been around the block a little bit. We're like a possum with a half-eaten pizza hanging off its back right now. We're just creating glory. We are absolutely building this from the ground up, and we are pleasured to have you here. So please give us a follow. Recommend us to your friends, or don't, because we're going to beat them, but you still should, because we're trying to grow this thing and blow it up. I am OP Joe, and I'm always, as always, I'm here with Billy at Hombre Vendor. You can find him on Twitter, and Josh. You can find him at Josh Hall STL with one H. It's kind of weird, but it works. Josh, Billy, what's up?
You got two E's at your Joe. That's kind of weird if you think about it.
The one with one E was taken, so I just added another one.
Who in the world is OP Joe with one E? Now, okay, never mind.
Dude, he's not doing anything on Twitter too. We looked him up at one point. It was pretty ridiculous. But yeah, no, happy to be here, man. Happy to talk one of our funnest podcasts, and we got 8 of them in a row. So it's gonna be a great time. It's when we learn a lot of stuff about the league, and honestly helps me out and as well as those listening. So
it is one of our most informative series where we go through players that, and we go through, ADPs potentially. We go through players that you might not be thinking about right now. We kind of touch it all on this podcast, but it is good to have everyone in. We're free and independent, and our phones' batteries are a little bit more charged day by day now than they normally would have been. That's a very inside joke there. So guys, do we want to talk about some news? Do we want to talk about, we could bring back the news thing that we used to do a long time ago. I don't know if we don't have that sounder anymore, but we could do that. We could do whatever we want.
What news do you have for us? Let's hear it.
Do you have some news?
I didn't know you were going to come to me right away.
Well, okay, I got some news.
Didn't have anything pulled up.
Kyle Pitts is apparently on the trade block. Let's go ahead and start that conversation. Kyle Pitts, the first round draft pick in many formats, all formats, and maybe not redraft, but in Dynasty and in NFL. And here we are on the trade block 4 years later, with very little to show for it. Rookie year was actually pretty decent, but after that kind of tailed off and just really hasn't found a role in any of these offenses. And there's been several over the years. What do we make of that? I mean, are they really just don't want to pay the guy, or is it like they want him off the team at this point?
I don't know what to make of it, man. I mean, that they need pass catchers with Penix going into roughly his first games. Actually, he played 3 games last year. He needs weapons. It makes no sense to move this guy right off the bat. And then on top of it, Arthur Smith can just – will you go jump off a bridge and land softly enough to break your arm or something? Because you really are screwing up our teams here. If you bring Kyle Pitts, I'm over here like draft Pat Freiermuth. He's going to be awesome. He's going to be great. This is another good season for Freiermuth. And if we get Kyle Pitts and or Jonnu Smith, there's been talk about either of those guys in this offense with Cordero Patterson. I mean, I don't know what to make of it, man. Arthur Smith's really just trying to screw us over yet again.
I don't know if he's going to get traded there, but honestly, it kind of makes sense for him to get a fresh start somewhere. I'm not going to lie. Is he needed in this offense? Sure. Is he going to be fully recognized in this offense? I don't know. Probably not. But it would be nice to just both sides just wash your hands. This was just not – it just didn't work. And if he gets traded to like the Rams or something, that won't happen. But I'm just saying, like, I'd probably buy back in. I'd be like, you know what? Sean McVay probably could use him in an interesting way. I'd probably listen to that. But, like, if he ends up, I don't know, in a dead zone like Cleveland, it's probably just the best that never was or something. We can go with that.
Still wild.
Yeah. All these like tight ends who aren't the traditional tight ends, he's a wide receiver type tight end, or he's more of a blocking tight end. They're always wrong. You realize that, right? Like, I feel like tight end's such a niche position that anytime anyone talks about how this tight end specializes in XYZ, it usually isn't what it is. Like he ends up either being really good and no one thought he was, or he like Laporta for that matter. Like nobody really thought Laporta could be what he could be his rookie year. And Pitts was supposed to be what Laporta was, and it's just never really came to fruition. And the problem is Pitts hasn't even been injured. I mean, he had the injury his sophomore season, but the last 2 years he has been fully healthy. And to get 600 yards and play every game for being the type of player that he's supposed to be, it's just sad, honestly.
Well, it's crazy because there's usually like one play a game where it's like one catch for like 45 yards. And it's like, damn, like, why can't we be doing this the whole game? And it just it never goes back that direction. It feels, it just never works out. So I don't know what to make of him. It's a very bizarre situation. It's weird for a tight end. Sometimes wide receivers can go this direction, but it's not usually tight ends.
I don't know. It's also crazy that he's 24 going into a contract year, and he's probably going to sign 2 more big contracts by the time he's said and done. So he'll have a good career.
Somebody will believe in him.
Someone's going to pay him. But here's a novel idea. Try him out wide for a couple snaps a game. Just see what happens.
Yeah.
I feel like it can't all be Kyle Pitts' fault, right? Like you said, Billy, he only had 1 target here. And like you said, Joe, like they don't put him in the roles where he could be. Like he wasn't used as a wide receiver, which is what he was drafted to be, a wide receiver tight end. Like, I don't know. It's just, I'd like to see something.
They were using Ray McLeod where they should have been using Kyle Pitts last year. I mean, it
feels like that. Well, it's just the Falcons as a whole. I mean, they're just so, I'm not going to say they're mismanaged, but they are definitely like kind of a wild cardy team of like, okay, I don't know what we're going to get here game to game. And that's just that's not like Bijan, for example. He should be up there with like the Saquon level of usage. And, some games it'll be a Tyler Algier day. And it's like, okay, well, that works.
Whatever.
You don't see the Eagles being like, you know what, today's a Will Shipley day. Let's do that. Not put Saquon out there for, half the game.
Okay, cool. I didn't even think about it. The Eagles could attack and try to go get Pitts. I mean, they got the whole Goddard trying to get rid of Goddard situation. I mean, and then Commanders. I was also going to say the Ravens as well. I mean, they're kind of on the end of Mark Andrews'
Well, they're doing the same thing with Likely, by the way. It's literally the same, almost the same story. Just the draft capital is not the same.
But I mean, at the end of the day, I know
thing.
They were targeting some tight ends, I know, in the draft and stuff. I don't think it worked out for them, but had one slip to them, I think they would have taken him, tried to replace.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots are in desperate need of pass catchers of any position. So you could bring back the 2 tight end set and go Hunter Henry and Pitts. That'd be kind of fun.
Hopefully this clears up by the time we get to the NFC South.
For sure. All right, there is one more news story I wanted to talk, just because it came out today, and I feel like we should talk about it, even though it is the most clickbait news bullshit that I've ever heard. But did y'all see Saquon's comments today? Where it said
he could retire anytime.
He could just retire at any moment. It could be this year, or it could be next year, it could be 2 years. I think today is the day you need to be going to buy Saquon Barkley from somebody who might read that and might think, hey, what? Like, I have Saquon, and we're gonna ride this out to the end. But like somebody else might be like, okay, maybe today is the time to sell because I'm only going to get him for 1 more year. But you could probably get him for not cheap. Let's not be unrealistic, but somebody sees those comments, they might be thinking about moving him.
Didn't we already do this with Tyreek Hill like a couple years back, where he was like, I'm only going to play like 2 more years or something like that, and everyone sold him in Dynasty, and it was just like, you don't know what's going to happen. Like, and look at him, he's playing in the 4th year since that comment.
I think the person that sold Tyreek may have won that trade just based on him.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day,
he did have the really good 1 year, but then this past year, it's like, okay, maybe I could.
He'll be back this year.
Well, we should hope
he'll be back. I got a news story.
Okay, you've got a news story. All right, I like this roundtable.
The OTAs are the news that comes out of OTAs are absolutely ridiculous. Are we going to crown JJ McCarthy as the next greatest quarterback to ever play football based on OTAs? Because it sure as hell seems like it. I believe in him and O'Connell's system. He's got a hell of a lot of weapons, but I mean, if you read these OTA reports with JJ McCarthy, you would think that this dude is better than Mahomes, Brady, and Marino combined, and it is ridiculous.
It's really rich coming from you when we literally had to hear everyone jerk off Caleb Williams all offseason last year.
What does this have to do with Caleb Williams?
I mean, I hadn't heard anything about JJ McCarthy at the end of the day, but like all offseason last year, it was Caleb Williams is amazing. He's going to be the best thing ever or whatever. It's the same concept. It's a new face at a new team that's a highly coveted pick. And I mean, highly awaited display or, a breakout for him. So I agree.
JJ McCarthy broke OTA passing records of Tom Brady this week. I have no idea what that means, but people are tweeting it.
Passing record. I would love to know who else is on the list of the top OTA passers of all time. I'm sure that list is very, very scary. Oh, I definitely believe that.
This is the time of the year where camp news is just running rampant, and everybody's just looking for a story, and that's their job is to write stuff. And so they see that whatever weird stat, dude. That's my favorite thing about like ESPN. They'll always come out with like, he is the only quarterback to play in 6 straight games and also have a brother that played Little League baseball at the same time. And you're just like, what? But they have to try to make everyone sound impressive. I get it. Like, and at this point, we have no idea what JJ McCarthy is. I feel like him and Penix, as we kind of talked about him earlier, like this, we'll see what happens, man. I'm not putting too much stock in those guys just yet.
Yeah, it's hard to. By the way, I think Sam Howell's a great stash if you're in a super flex, like a deep super flex, because if JJ does not work out, he's in O'Connell's system, and we really like that. But right now,
way they would bench JJ McCarthy this season.
I think they ride out the bad year at the end of the day.
He just missed the whole season with a knee injury, so that's more.
He might not be explosive. He might get injured, I guess, again potentially, but I don't know. As long as he's healthy, I think they're throwing him out there, and he's going to get Sam Bradforded and just thrown around like a rag doll. Probably.
All right, Bryce Young or McCarthy?
Bryce Young. Sorry, my bad. I was kind of like not listening.
I'm on the fence, but I'm leaning more Bryce Young.
Geno
Bryce
Smith
Young's...
and McCarthy.
Who? Sorry.
Geno Smith.
Nah, McCarthy.
Probably McCarthy, depending on if they add another wide receiver or not.
If this was Seattle, Geno Smith, I'd probably go him. But Raiders.
Tua. McCarthy.
I'd love to say Tua. I would love to say Tua, but I can't trust it.
Yeah. Those are just the guys going around him right now. So
I'd probably take Tua.
Really?
Yeah, because they're going to be in shootouts, and not that I don't think Minnesota is going to be the same, but I mean, I don't know. I could see that one.
They did strip that defense.
I just feel like defense in Miami. Tua finished in the top. He one time finished as a top 10 quarterback. I don't know. Tough for me.
It's not a blowout in either direction. I just think coin flip, I'd probably take Tua.
Fair enough.
Okay. Well, we are here tonight to preview the NFC West. That is the Arizona Cardinals, the Rams, the San Francisco 49ers, and the Seattle Seahawks. So we're going to start with the worst team for gambling odds, and it's the Arizona Cardinals. So,
all right.
Joe.
All right.
No, Joe. Right, Joe. Yeah. How about it?
Yeah, the Seahawks were boring. I switched. So the Cardinals have a 4-13 record last year. They 324 yards per game, which was 19th, and then 19.4 points per game, which was 24th. Their defense got wrecked. We're not even going to dive into this defense. So what do? They go out and they get Dalvin Tomlinson, Michael Walker, Akeem Davis-Gaither, and Josh Sweat. Oh, and they brought back Calais Campbell, which is pretty cool. And then they go to the draft and literally did not take an offensive player till the 6th round. So they loaded up with Walter Nolan. They somehow got Will Johnson at 47. I thought he was like a top 15 pick, so hell of a snag by them. And then Jordan Birch, high upside guy. But you get Cody Simon, who, he led the Ohio State defense for the linebacker position for their national title run. So it was a solid draft. They also got Denzel Burke, which I think was a crazy steal. So they just loaded up this defense. The offense is going into its 2nd season under Gannon and Petzig. So really what needs to happen is they need to be more aggressive. They ran the ball a ton on 1st and 2nd down. They were pretty good at 3rd down conversion rates, but kind of middle of the road in explosive plays. Kyler was top 5 in yards from screens and checkdowns, and that made up 17% of his total yards. So I mean, come on, we got to take a shot downfield. And where does that happen? Marvin Harrison, who hit the gym. He looks like a freak of nature now. He added a ton of muscle, which is something that a lot of people are freaking out about. But, I mean, he's still fast. He's still going to get around people. He needs that muscle to play in college. So think of him kind of doing what DeAndre Hopkins does. And if we can get that for Kyler Murray, I think that Marv is set up for an awesome season. He had 116 targets last year. Only 72 of those were deemed catchable, but he still had 8 touchdowns. So we're going to probably see more targets. I would for sure say more yards and probably the same amount of touchdowns. I mean, he could go higher than that. Who knows? But he's absolutely fine. A lot of people are freaking out about Marvin Harrison. He's going as wide receiver 21 in PPR right now. That's kind of a value at the moment. So I would be willing to take a shot at Marv earlier than he is going currently, because I think big things are in store. But then you got Trey McBride there, who had 147 targets. He was your number 1 pass catcher last year, but he only had 2 touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown randomly. Make that make sense. I don't really know. I think with Marv kind of jumping up, we're going to see Trey McBride's targets dip a little bit, but we have to see his touchdowns come up. I got him at least scoring 8 touchdowns this year. It's got to happen. I mean, I don't understand what the hell happened last year with that many targets. And then at wide receiver 3, you got Michael Wilson. He's the lock. Sorry, wide receiver 2. Michael Wilson's a lock at wide receiver 2. Kyler was hyping him up during OTAs, so I think he still has that spot. I think, they had an undrafted guy, Xavier Weaver. He could be a guy to watch for the wide receiver 3. They also have Zay Jones. They have Greg Dortch. There's just not enough passing on this team for a stable third option. So it's really just Marv and Trey McBride. So the running backs, James Conner, big contract, awesome. Probably going to see his carries come down a little bit this year because they have to get Trey Benson more involved, especially like in between the 20s, because James Conner at his age does not need to be doing everything he did last year. So I think James Conner, you're still going to see a lot of receptions. You're going to see a lot of carries, and you're going to see the red zone work. But I think we see Trey Benson start to work in a little bit more in the middle of the field. So RB19 for Conner, RB47 for Benson. Pretty good values right there. And then really on the defense is where you're going to see the improvement. So they got Josh Sweat, they got Walter Nolan, they got Calais Campbell. This team is actually going to generate some pressure. And Darius Robinson is another guy that must have been working out with Marvin Harrison because he looks jacked as well. We really should see a big increase in the amount of pressure these guys are that they're able to generate. So I think Josh Sweat, 8 sacks he got last year is probably a floor for him. And Darius Robinson, after missing a big chunk of 2024, he's probably a really good buy low right now. I don't think a lot of people are thinking about him. Where it gets tricky is at linebacker. Kaiser White's gone with 137 tackles. Now you have Mac Wilson, Mykal Walker, Akeem Davis-Gaither, and Cody Simon. I think it's just Mac Wilson and Davis-Gaither. I don't really see a way that any of those other guys are going to get you a lot. Cody Simon for the future is a good taxi squad guy, but not trusting him for this year. And then Sean Murphy-Bunting is going to miss the season with a knee injury. Luckily, they got Will Johnson. Budda Baker going into a contract year. He had a monster season last year, so he's probably going to get an extension. And then lastly, Jalen Thompson is going comically low in drafts. He was 2 tackles shy of 100 last year. And I think with more pressure up front, we're going to see him become a steal in IDP drafts this year. So get some Jalen Thompson, offer some trades for him. Guys, what do you think about the Cardinals?
Well, I don't disagree with anything you said, particularly. The biggest thing that worries me is that this offense didn't change any. Sure, they got a couple new linemen, but Marvin Harrison wasn't able to get out in space. They would also just not target him, which was worrisome. He did fine, obviously just not where he was drafted at. But my problem is you didn't bring in any other wide receivers, that notable ones at least. You couldn't have brought in a Tyler Lockett or maybe not Stephon Diggs is the best opportunity to talk about him right now. But just in general, you couldn't have grabbed a veteran or someone who could immediately slot in and be a wide receiver too. I love Michael Wilson to death. Great player. I love Dortch as well as the 3rd, 4th scrappy guy on the field. But I'm worried about this offense. I feel like we're just going to do exactly the same thing as last year. And actually, if anything, Connor might get less at this point because, like you said, Trey Benson might eat into that workload and probably should. I'm really thinking Marvin Harrison's the only one I want on my team, and Trey McBride, of course. But it's like, and then Marvin Harrison, I don't know if I want to go above where he's being drafted because what if he does do the same thing and gets 900 yards and 7 touchdowns or whatever he had? Like, I'm worried about the offense. Defensive wise, I'm pretty stoked with what they did. A lot of people are saying they overpaid for Sweat, Gaither or Davis Gaither, Tomlinson, all these Calais Campbell, these veterans. I think it was a stellar move. Go get some veterans, beast up that defensive line. The secondary's been decent this whole time. Jalen Thompson, one of the most underrated safeties, I feel like, in the league. Like he's the ugly, scrappy guy that nobody wants on their team. He's on, like, I think every one of my teams, and I'm happy with him every time. But I'm pretty stoked about this defense all around, and that's what they needed to do. But just like one piece on the offense, I don't even care if it was a second tight end at this point. Like, just feels wrong to not do anything offensive weapon wise for this team that struggled last year.
Would have made sense.
I'm agreeing completely there. I'm a little worried. I'm worried about the offense, as I think we all kind of a little bit are. I do see this being a low-scoring offense, unfortunately. I mean, there's just some games that are going to have a pop, but I think overall it's probably going to be lower scoring. I definitely would take Trey McBride at where he's being drafted. I would be cautious with Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, the talent's there, but if they're going to do what they did last year, which they just focused on Marvin Harrison Jr., every defense was like, let's take him away and see what happens. I mean, you're not going to get beat by Michael Wilson and Zay Jones. I would really recommend that I recommend they go get somebody like Amari Cooper who's available. Like, that would make a lot of sense to me. I haven't heard them them attached at all to him. Like, I've only heard like the Raiders and a couple, like some other team, but not the Cardinals, which I feel like could definitely use a guy like that just to kind of make someone else out there that somebody's worried about. I just feel like this offense, it's either going to James Conner, Trey McBride, or Marvin Harrison. There is no other threat really on the team. That is a very concerning way to run an offense when it's that predictable. And although Kyler is the most unpredictable quarterback, you can definitely predict where the targets are going to go, though. That's the issue, I think. So I don't know. I wouldn't take Kyler either. I mean, I like Kyler a lot, and I definitely think he's intriguing, but where he's probably going to get drafted, I would rather wait and get a different quarterback that's probably cheaper and probably going to put up just as many points.
Yeah, he's around like the 7th, 8th quarterback off the board in most drafts that I've seen, and I'm kind of like,
he's going ahead of Nix and Goff. I'd take him over Goff, like, for sure.
Yeah, Nix and Herbert and Caleb, I think, should all vault over him immediately, though.
Yeah, I mean, the quarterback rankings are whack right now this time of year. I don't understand what's up.
I think it'll change.
This is time, but yeah,
it's the mobile access. It's the fact that he can run with his legs, and he does put up some fancy points that way. And that's all fun and games until he either gets hurt or has nothing else going on and can't throw the ball. So
I wish there was a tool that was out there that you could see the percentage of championship rosters that rostered a player for like a specific year. I would love to know how many Kyler Murray championship teams have existed in fantasy football, because I doubt it's a lot. Oh, you have one that you were starting him?
Yeah.
Wow.
Last year, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah, but your team's also ridiculous, though.
Yeah.
It's a dynasty league where,
but percentage wise, it's still probably not that high. Like of teams that are being.
I bet Saquon was the highest last year. I mean, that's pretty obvious, but
probably in redraft, I would say it was probably Saquon and Jaden Daniels.
Jaden Daniels led me to one too. Appreciate that.
Yep, me too.
After diving into this team, though, I mean, you got Kyler coming back 2 years removed from the ACL. You got them going into year 2 of this offense. Marv, honestly, if you watch what he did, his route running really improved the second half of the season. And if you add that bulk to it, I mean, I could see him kind of have a massive second year if they. I mean,
him going for 1,100 yards or 1,200 yards would not shock me in the least. Him, I'm not worried about. It's the team as a whole where it's like.
I agree. I just, for fantasy purposes, if they run the ball on first, they run the ball on second, and then they throw it to Trey McBride for 4 yards on the third. It's the stupidest, boringest offense. And I'm hoping that we start seeing, as they get a little bit more comfortable, some fireworks there. So it could be kind of a sleeper offense this year.
I hope you're right.
I'd love to see it personally. The team's fun. Kyler's fun.
Right. Yes, at the very least, this team is unpredictable, and that is just something we need in football as a whole right now. Just a team that you're going in and you have no idea what's going to happen. That was what made that one year that Kyler was like winning all those games. They were a blast to watch because you really, truly had no clue how he was going to win the game, but he ended up doing it. And it's like, okay, well, sure. Great.
I'd love to see Marvin Harrison take that leap, but I think it definitely comes with someone else on that team. I don't know. I don't even care if it's like a Rondale. I know they had Rondale Moore, so it's a terrible example, but like a Rondale Moore type that's like a wide receiver 2 or 3 on another team that can just slot in. Rashad Bateman would be great. Like just someone who's a sure-handed receiver who can take just a small amount of like, we can't double cover Harrison every time.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see
Mike Williams or Mike Wilson take the
Xavier Weaver can make an impact if they do not get a Cooper, because he looked pretty good for Colorado and undrafted guy, but
something else.
Little possession
dynamic.
Dude.
Something.
Yeah.
Don't know what it is.
That's just basically the new Greg Dortch is what I'm hearing.
Right. Yeah, what are the Vegas odds?
Scrappy. All right. Arizona is a 7.5.
Ooh.
Over under.
They do have a really easy schedule, by the way, especially if you're building a playoff team. Arizona is a good thing to get. Get Connor or Marv or Trey.
I'm at the moment that we're sitting right now. I'm under 7 and 10 sounds about right to me for this team.
Yeah, getting that 8th win is going to be tough for them. I think I'm going to go under as well.
I mean, they could sweep Seattle and San Francisco.
Well, they could win all their division games, but if they won't, just because the division, no one ever usually sweeps their whole division. I mean, division games are.
I'm going over. I like this team.
I knew you were headed that direction, Joe.
I love it.
You did just give us the whole team. It was a positive.
You were headed that direction. Okay, well, for the next team, it's technically Seattle, but we'll save that for last since it's a collaborative effort. Josh, San Francisco.
Oh, Rams are favorites.
Over-under, so yeah.
I love that. They probably should be.
San Francisco's next.
Yep, that's perfect. So 49ers, we all saw the epic collapse of what they did last year. Obviously, that was slightly McCaffrey-led, injury-led. But at the end of the day, it was the whole team except for Kittle. 6-11, finished last in the division first time in 5 years since pre-McCaffrey. And they did not look good at anything. So first things first, their additions and subtractions pretty much just kind of covered each other. So you got losses, Jordan Mason and Elijah Mitchell pretty much makes Garendo the lone heir to the CMC fortune. So definitely stock up on that, or at least it makes it a little bit easier to, if you do draft CMC, to be able to handcuff him simply. And then Deebo Samuel being vacated there, that's going to be a decent amount of targets that opens the door for other offensive opportunities, which I'll get into shortly. And defensively, the team is quite different. So notable losses, Javon Hargrave, Malik Collins, Leonard Floyd on the inside, and Hufanga, Ward, and Greenlaw in the secondary and at the linebacker position. They did replace some of these guys, but at the end of the day, it feels like they didn't do a good enough job. So just looking at that roster, I'm starting in a weird way, just in the defense. They went 4-5. First 5 picks were all defensive. Michael Williams to start, Alfred Collins, Nick Martin, all interested, probably can all be starters. Upton Stout can have a chance to be a slot corner or a corner in general. And then we have CJ West at defensive tackle, which is probably more of a depth guy. And then they did finally get some offensive weapons. Jordan Watkins has a chance to get out there and play potentially right away. And then Jordan James as now the third running back behind, or the second running back behind McCaffrey, but third running back on the team. Additions wise, outside of the draft, it's mostly just depth pieces. There wasn't really anyone that was an immediate start. Trey Brown on the inside, or on the outside cornerback, my apologies. And then no starters on offense are new. So offensive line is fine as per usual. We get into the wide receivers. This is where it gets hairy. So we lost Debo, right? So we have Brandon Ayuk, who we don't know when he's coming back. I mean, he'll come back at some point during the year, but we're looking at a significant amount of time missed here. So we're starting off with Ricky Pearsall, Jawan Jennings, Demarcus Robinson, the aforementioned Jordan Watkins. There's a lot of opportunity here. So all of these guys are cheap or free. Jawan Jennings, I think, is like in the 90s, so you can get him in the 8th round. Ayuk's still kind of in that 7th, 8th round as well, just because of the namesake alone. And then Ricky Pearsall and Jordan Watkins are absolutely free. Demarcus Robinson obviously had a huge year last year with the Rams, so that could be super fun and could kind of fill in those slots. But I feel like this is going to just be weird. So they gave Brock Purdy all this money. Obviously, the targets don't look the same. Still got McCaffrey. George Kittle, just fire him up. He should be drafted. We had a whole segment about this on one of our last pods. Since we're in a new place, let me talk about it again. George Kittle has been and is the man on this team. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey gets his. We all know that. But in the passing game, it's been dwindling back and down and down and down. And especially with this injury, I have a feeling they're going to not want to flood McCaffrey with passing down work. So George Kittle was the wide receiver 1 on this team, even with a healthy Ayuk, in my opinion. Been a top 5 fantasy tight end for the last, 6 years. People just don't give him any respect at all. But go get yourself George Kittle. The Jawan Jennings love, I understand it. It was really fun last year. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know if this is the play. I'd rather go take the late risk on Ricky Pearsall or Jordan Watkins or even Ayuk and take the few weeks off for Ayuk if you can. But obviously it all depends on roster build. And then McCaffrey, another person who it's like, what do you do here? My thing is if you're getting McCaffrey discounted in the back of the 2nd round and you can build the team around it, you got a 20-point player every time he touches the field. So I get it. If you want to go for Christian McCaffrey, please do. If you feel so, please don't. If you don't want to, I like to give everyone, a little bit of grace, and they can choose. They can make their own choices. But just here to guide you a bit. I think Kyle Juszczyk is still there, but unfortunately not fantasy relevant. There's no fullback position. So anyway, this defense makes up of Nick Bosa as the only defensive lineman who's been here. Jordan Elliott, Alfred Collins, Michael Williams. That's great on Michael Williams. They did just trade for Bryce Huff as well. 5th round, potential 4th round pick to the Eagles. Eagles dumped a salary. I'd like to see what Huff can bring. I don't know. That was a weird busted year, and the Eagles just chose not to use him. And then, of course, Greenlaw's gone. We got D. Winters and Nick Martin as the other linebackers alongside Fred Warner. Like to think that that's going to have to be D. Winters just from the being on the team for a little while, but Nick Martin could have a role as well. And then corners, good group. Not really trying to start any of them. Diamador Lenore can be played as the slot corner, obviously. And Malik Mustafa, who is the new Hufanga, if you couldn't tell last year. And then Jair Brown are on the safeties, and those are both solid picks that you can get out there. So anything you guys are thinking that I didn't touch on, or, you guys just want to be like, absolutely not?
I did want to mention right off the top, Demarcus Robinson got a DUI, so he might be suspended to start the season. I mean, it would only be like maybe one game, but I'm just felt that it needed to be mentioned, that might be a thing.
Like they need someone else to be out the first few weeks in the wide receiver
room. For real.
Yeah, I don't know. I like Jawan Jennings. I also like Pearsall. The Brandon Ayuk thing, he's still going above both of those guys right now, and you might get him for December. So, I mean, the way I would play Ayuk is try to trade for him if you really want him on your team. I would not draft him because you're burning a 9th round pick on him right now.
Or you could just wait for someone to inevitably drop him.
Yeah, like drop him, trade for him, throw him on your IR. I just think Brandon Ayuk is a wasted pick. I don't think he's going to help you the way he has in the past. Jawan Jennings, I mean, we saw that 40-point game, and then it was like nothing after that. I think he had like a hamstring injury, and then Pearsall came on at the end of the season. But you're right. I have no idea what to really make of this. And then you're hearing out of camp that Jacob Cowing actually looks pretty good too. He was their 4th rounder last year. So, like, I don't know what to make of it at all. Just get Kittle and get CMC. I mean, they vacated 125 targets. Kittle relied on efficiency. He's going to have his highest target total that he's had since 2018. So I love it.
So, fun fact, Purdy actually can be started as well. He was QB 14 last year on a terrible offense. So, I mean, he really did make up for it. Obviously, a lot of that was Juwan Jennings, big games and whatnot. But at the end of the day, like, he can be startable. And even with this weird makeshift ragtag wide receiver room, because it might end up being more of a Jordan Love situation where it's like you don't know which receiver it's going to be, but like at least you know he's going to be throwing the ball. He's going to have to. And they did just pay him a big contract. So I'm not upset about going after Brock Purdy as well, especially as you're either backup quarterback or if you're going the late round and want to double up on someone.
I feel like you'd have to be a backup for me to be comfortable with it, but I see what you're saying.
In Superflex, I had him in the Scott Fish Bowl last year, and he was a great pairing with Jalen Hurts. It was a great time, the two of them. So
that feels about right. Speaking of League Extraordinary Gentlemen, that's literally my QB room. I hate that I keep suggesting this. I feel like they should go get a wide receiver. We already mentioned Amari Cooper. Keenan Allen would make sense, maybe just to stick in here for a little bit of a Ayuk insurance. The thing that this tells me the most is that they're pretty confident Ayuk is going to come back at some point pretty early in the season. We have no word of that at all. But why would you not add a wide receiver to this room if you thought that there's a chance he was going to be out for 9 weeks? Because by then you would be almost done with the season. Like there's no way you'd be in a good shape by then. So I don't know. Either he Lynch is like completely sure that this entire wide receiver room is going to work out, or I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to feel comfortable drafting anybody on this team other than Kittle. I just don't know. I don't know.
I know it's probably not going to be DeMarcus Robinson, but like as Joe mentioned, Cowing, Watkins has been getting some good praise out of camp as well. I could see either one of those guys ending the year as their number one wide receiver. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying I'd rather take that risk later and not pull a trigger on Juwan Jennings. But at the end of the day, like we saw what Juwan Jennings can do. So it's not like it's, out of left field, like, he's taking over now. It's like, maybe he will. Maybe he will have a big role. And this would be the year to do it if Ayuk's out for the first, 8-9 games.
My biggest thing is like Purdy's contract basically guarantees him 2 years and not much after that. You got Trent Williams, who's toast after this year. I mean, I can't imagine he's playing too much longer, especially if they lose.
How old is he? Like 38? Something like that?
He's like 37, 38. You got CMC,
unbelievable,
who's getting up there. You have Kittle. I mean, this entire team, they might just be looking at the writing on the wall and say, hey, let's just ride this out and lose a couple seasons, get some good picks, and then we'll jump back into this. But none of their moves that they've made have made any sense as far as we want to win at all.
They have Christian McCaffrey on a very small window at this point. This is them trying. This is them trying to win. It doesn't look like it, but
they're not doing a good job.
They lost a lot of people in free agency that they had to fill holes in. So they did prioritize the defense, which is if this team's going to be good, the defense has to be good. So I will say they did a good job of rebuilding this without spending a shit ton of money. I don't know what they're going to end up paying Bryce Huff because I know his contract was awful, but that felt like a weird trade at the end of the day. But they do have depth. That's the good thing about this team. Like at defense, that is. Wide receiver room is also kind of weirdly has depth. I mean, they got two young guys, Watkins and Coing. They got Robinson and Jennings as their like kind of veterans on the field. Ayuk, who's technically their superstar, and then Ricky Pearsall, who's had a little breakout. So there is 6 guys on this team. 1 just might be missing a lot of games, and 2 we just don't know anything about.
All right,
it's Kittle and CMC.
I have a trivia question for you all to end this one. When Trent Williams was drafted, he was drafted to the Commanders that were the Redskins at the time in 2010. Who was the starting quarterback for that football team?
Rex Grossman.
No.
God, Joe. I just wanted to answer immediately. Maybe I had it.
It wasn't Kaepernick.
This is Commanders 2010.
Oh, yes, I'm gonna say
Commanders 2010. He was drafted to Washington.
Was it RG3?
Was not. It was before that.
I don't know.
All right, Joe, you don't know. It was Donovan McNabb.
Oh,
shit.
damn. Man, I can't believe it was 2010.
He started his career playing with Donovan McNabb, and he's still playing today. Like
Rex Grossman was the
like
backup,
job.
by the way, and he did play.
He was,
so I was correct.
No, they had Santana Moss, Chris Cooley, Fred Davis.
Oh,
who we never
dude,
knew
Santana
what to do
Moss
with.
was fun.
Yeah, and their running back was Ryan Terrain, which I do not remember that name, but I'm sure somebody else out there is probably like, whoa, you don't remember Ryan Terrain? But what a team. What a team. And it's just crazy to think he's still playing in the NFL today, and he started his career playing guarding Donovan McNabb.
The 34-year-old Donovan McNabb at the end of his career.
Feels like that. He hasn't played in so long, but anyway, yeah, that's your
dude. Grossman felt right too. That felt like the right time frame. I nailed it. I was happy to see that.
I think you were 1 year off, so it's not that crazy, but yeah, that did happen. It was wild. All right, the San Francisco 49ers are 9.5 over under.
It's gonna be tough, man. I could see him doing it just because this team actually, it's led well. If everyone can stay healthy outside of the already injured people, I think they could do it. I mean, any team with Christian McCaffrey can go out there and get 10 wins. I mean, they could go right back to form. Isn't there a curse of the loser of the NFC Championship always does bad the next year?
Something like that, yeah.
Not a chance.
I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna go over. Have a little hope for the 49ers.
Okay, Joe?
He said not a chance.
I'm looking at their schedule right now. I know we normally read the schedules.
We do, but
this is a new podcast. We can do whatever we want.
New year, new us, I guess.
You're new. I mean, they have a pretty simple schedule. It's not too bad. So I'm still going under. I don't like this team.
Okay. I'm gonna go over just because I would be more shocked to see 9-8 than I would 10-7. So I'm rolling with the 10-7 and thinking that that's possible. So I'm gonna go over as well. But I understand the under because this thing feels like it's built on a house of cards.
It is.
You just take one piece and the whole thing's gonna fall down.
Pick up sticks, man. That's
well, it happened last year. I mean, they were pretty much fully healthy outside of Ayuk getting injured, but it was like literally McCaffrey went down and everything fell down.
Yeah, some teams just find a way. Like Tomlin, he always finds a way. All right. Well, next team up is the team I'm covering, which is the Rams. They are actually favored in this division, which feels kind of crazy because it feels like they're still in the middle of a rebuild, and they definitely aren't. So to start off the top here, I kind of comb through some of the ADP data on Underdog right now just to kind of get an idea of where we're at. Kyren Williams is going 33 overall. He's the 12th running back. Feels about right, even though I feel like a lot of people think that that's probably a little overrated. I don't know. Maybe underrated. I don't know. I think that he would be good. Obviously, they ditched Cooper Kupp and picked up Devontae Adams. He's going at wide receiver 19, 32 overall right now. I, again, think that that's about right. I think this team's going to be low-key really good this season, and I'm kind of excited for that. Puka Nacua is the one I want to get to now. He is going 7th overall, 4th wide receiver off the board, and I think he is in for a monster season. I know with Devontae Adams there that it seems like it's probably going to be like a two-man game, like how it is, but I really think that the targets mainly are going to be funneled through Puka Nacua to get down the field, and then when they get to the end zone or get to the red zone, it's going to be a Devontae Adams game. Now, that's not to say that Adams won't be helping them get down the field, but I think if you had to look at the target share here, I think that the lion's share is going to Puka, and then Adams is there as kind of the second banana / whenever Puka Nacua inevitably gets hurt for a couple of plays, because it happens every season the same way. Puka Nacua goes out he limps off the field, and then he ends up coming back in the game. So I do think that those two are going to work perfectly there. Tutu Atwell is the wide receiver 3. I'm not really sure that that's going to matter a whole lot. I don't think that they haven't really used a wide receiver 3 in the past, even though Demarcus Robinson kind of was a guy last season a little bit, but I think that was more due to Cooper Kupp's ineffectiveness rather than them actually trying to use him. The other wide receivers on this team are kind of like a who's who of nobodies. Got Jordan Whittington, who did do some things last season, but I don't think he's going to do anything this season.